Hi, I'm Josh Miller, and this is Uncommon.
Hi, I'm Georgie Saggers, and this is Uncommon.
Uncommon is a production by Neuralle, a full-service digital agency. If you want to grow with a premium agency and have the ability to work with Jordan directly, then learn more at neuralle.com/media and request a callback. That's neuralle.com/media.
My name is Jordan Michaelides, and I'm your host on a show where we dig deep on unique individuals. If you like the show, subscribe. We would love that. It gives us a lot of support and helps us keep things going as well. You can always give us a nice little like, which is always useful. Show notes are down below, just in the comments section. You can also find a link there in the description. It's neuralle.com/podcast for all previous episodes. If you want to listen to the audio, if you don't want to be watching it on YouTube, you can find us on all your good podcast apps. That's Uncommon Show. You'll be able to find us everywhere. If you want to see behind the scenes with us, what we're doing each week, search Uncommon or at Uncommon_show on Instagram, and you'll find us there. But what can I say? Thank you so much for checking us out, and let's get into it. My guests this week are Josh Miller and Georgie Saggers, two of the four co-founders of Soda Shades, which includes Steph Claire Miller and Lukey Young. Guys, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Nice.
I was saying to you before in the kitchen, Aiden's given me some dirt. I've also I did find a few things, but
Here we go.
maybe we'll just start with like 2 true or false questions each to start.
Perfect.
And we'll go ladies first. Where does your, tie-dye obsession come from?
That's good.
That's very good.
I want to know that answer too.
I did study fashion design, so possibly from there. I don't know, maybe it takes me back to my Perth beach roots, but Aiden certainly had a lot of fun last weekend when I accidentally turned up in double matching tie-dye.
Yeah.
And then I'd been in the Gold Coast, and he just spent the entire time lolling about the fact that I kept on going like this, and I was not meaning to do shakas. I was meaning to be like, this person called me. And he was like, why are you calling with a shaka phone?
Don't we all, we all call
That's
like
the
that.
universal
That's the universal
call symbol.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess there.
And the other thing was, who is the best cook at Supper Club thus far?
Unfortunately, Aiden. He can cook a mean pasta.
Okay.
And he really does it with like his Italian accent. He's 132 Italian. And he always reminds us of that fact. Definitely Aiden.
Now, Josh, this is a very important question that I need your help with to classify or clarify for my partner, because she's very against it. And I hear that Steph is against it too. Is, true or false, is country music probably the best style of music out there?
Absolutely, 100% true.
Yeah. and how far up there is Florida Georgia Line?
I saw them live last year. They're good, but probably a little bit commercial for me, I think, as far as country music goes.
I've gone like really, really deep. I feel like 6 months ago I found some song, Florida Georgia Line with Nelly.
Yeah.
And that was sort of my gateway drug to getting into country music. Now
That's
I'm
good,
looking
isn't
at, what's that concert they have every year in Tennessee or... It's got this really strange... It was really strange.
I don't know the name though.
The one that's been called off.
No.
It's not South by Southwest.
No,
That was the thing
that's
that I called it.
Austin.
But this is being really bugging me because I forgot it all day long.
Yeah, I
should
can't
have just
think of it
looked it
either.
up. Anyway,
is a big fan.
we'll get it at the end of the episode.
I plan on going there next year for my 30th, a bit of a road trip.
Okay.
Just all the little honky-tonk towns. And so yeah, I'm all on it.
Yeah, I'm actually more interested now in the Midwest of America than any of the coast. So, the other thing I had to ask you was, do you still have the Harley Davidson 48?
I do not.
You don't?
I do not. Why is
that?
I grew up riding bikes my whole life, and when I got a bit more serious with work and couldn't afford injury, that being said, I was very lucky. I only broke my wrist a handful of times, but never actually anything else. So I got lucky with as far as
Only a handful.
severe injury. But
was that an insurance thing or literally a personal decision?
Nah,
Like, this is not
personal. I mean,
wise?
if I was injured, I couldn't work and couldn't, repay the house and whatnot. So it was more of a
Yeah.
mature decision to stop riding. So I bought a Harley because I didn't want to, race and jump dirt bikes anymore. And that was my fix temporarily. And then I unfortunately had a mate who lost his life in a motorcycle accident. So
Wow.
sitting there at that funeral was the last day I rode a bike.
Really?
Couldn't do it. Too young. He was 24 and sitting around that room was heavy. So
Yeah.
I don't know what it was that day. I just said, that's it. I don't need to ride it anymore.
I can
I
understand.
could buy a car and buy an old car or something, but yeah.
Yeah, there was a guy that I went to school with that died at 19 for something similar. It was a motorcycle accident, but you'll never, like, if you have something like that happen, you just will never want to touch it ever again.
That's the thing. It's like, I don't know, you almost feel a bit selfish riding a bike. That's how I looked at it. It's like everyone was affected because of, it wasn't even his fault, but, it affects so many people just 'cause it's kind of cool to ride a bike or your own little, I don't know, kick or adrenaline.
Yeah.
It's like you can do that other ways. So
Yeah, you can. You can
Like
do
your
it in
booster
other
board.
safe ways.
like my boosted board. Yeah. There's other ways to do it. So yeah, no, that was the end of the bike. That was maybe even 2 years now. I've hadn't had the
Okay.
bike. So yeah.
Wow. Now, I was looking at both your backgrounds. There's not much on you when it comes to your early years, but I know that you spent a lot of early years growing up at Bury on holidays. I know you hail from W as you call it,
The great state.
the great state. What are both your earliest memories of childhood?
Well, mine, the way that it's Bury, how you pronounce it, but
Is
the
it?
way that Bury came about.
Yeah, we're debating that before you came in.
It's like beer in your eye. That's a good way to remember it.
Oh, that's a good way to
Yeah.
beer in
That
your
happens
eye.
a lot there too, so it's quite ironic.
Perfect.
The way that property came about was we, like I said before, grew up riding bikes and we used to go camping in Echuca along the river. And being little fellas on the bikes, we used to get done by the rangers all the time.
Okay.
So Dad back then always wanted a property on the Murray. And at that point, we're talking now 14, maybe 15 years ago, wanted to buy a place in Echuca but couldn't. So he ended up finding the place in Bury, which is about 50 minutes away. So we bought that predominantly just to have a rural property on the river to camp and ride the bikes and not get in trouble. So that's how that came about. And my earliest memories were just camping on the river, riding bikes.
Why do you think he chose why Echuca? Was that something that he just went to as a kid?
I think it was just such a predominant, I guess, family holiday camping destination not far from Melbourne. And we were never beach family, we were always river and camping. So Echuca, I guess, was that place. I mean,
Because we all have those areas. Like for me, growing up in the Bayside, it was always like Mornington Peninsula. Going to Sorrento Back Beach was like the pinnacle of the weekend.
so we
or
never
life.
did that. We never.
See, we were the
never-
opposite. We were a beach family. And when they first took me to the river, I was like, ugh.
Ugh,
It's so
it's dirty.
I was like, I won't be going in there. And Steph was like, come on, it's beautiful, clean water. And then when I take Steph, we took these guys down to where I grew up in Yellingup down south, WA, and took Steph in the water. And she was like, it's beautiful, but I never grew up here, so I don't feel as comfortable as you do.
Yeah.
Whereas I just swim out and I don't even think of anything.
Yeah.
Whereas
Quite
there,
funny
I'm
because
like,
it was like literally the opposite. Hey,
Oh,
both
it's-
of you guys.
yeah.
She's like scared of the ocean. You were scared of the river.
So you grew up in Yellingup.
so we grew up in Perth, like Claremont. My childhood memories are probably spent at a boys' boarding school because my dad was head of boarding.
Okay.
So we spent 11 years living on site in a boys' boarding house.
I
Really?
did not know that.
Didn't you?
No.
Yeah, which was the best. I had the best childhood because my dad is still, he's been there 38 years, he's their longest standing staff member,
Wow.
is the hero of that school. He is the coolest man anyone will ever meet. He's so funny and so cool. And so we just grew up, I just had 180 brothers, plus my own brother, which was amazing. And so we'd eat in the boys' dining room 3 mornings a week for breakfast. We'd go there for dinner. They'd go on excursions to like water parks and stuff, and I'd get to go and take all my friends. It was the coolest thing ever. I had all my birthday parties at school. And then when I turned 13, the boys started being like, Mr. Saggers, we'll babysit. And he was like, we're moving.
Get
We're out. So yeah, grew up there, but then we have had and still have a property down in Yallingup, so we spent every school holidays there. And it's just the best place ever. It's so quiet and beautiful.
You're still
and,
back there at every opportunity, hey?
Yeah, 5 minutes from
Yeah.
the beach.
Perth is really nice. Lauren's cousin, he moved there from Tassie like 5-6 years ago. So he's now married, got a kid. We went for the wedding. Clermont's a great area. I can't remember, what's the area right near the beach on that?
Cottesloe?
Yeah, we stayed down at
Yeah.
Cottesloe. Unfortunately, it was like, we were there and what do they call the wind?
Or the sea breeze.
No, but they've got a
The
name.
Fremantle Doctor.
The Fremantle Docker. Or Doctor.
Yeah, so it comes in every day, normally about 3 o'clock, and it's this like howling sea breeze.
It was
But
horrendous.
sometimes it comes early and it's a really
Yeah.
bad day.
So it was the only time, apparently, we were like there for the only
Yeah.
day in the last month in October where it was like Melbourne weather.
Yeah.
It was like 16 degrees.
Otherwise, it's blue skies and 25.
Yeah. What about lessons from your parents? Do you think like there's any principles that you still have? Like, I know from my dad, I was always just brought into his like printing factory, so it was always just about hard work, sort of indirectly. He never said it, but you sort of just got it.
I think for me, something my mum taught me was, and I remember when she used to say it, I used to want to like scream at her because I thought it was annoying, but if you've got nothing nice to say nothing at all. And I truly believe that that has stuck with me to this day. If you're not a nice person, what have you got? I think there's no reason why people don't need to be nice, and I really try and take that into everyday work, life, relationships, business, everything.
So when you think of something not nice to say, what happens? Is it just like your brain just
I
goes...
probably say it to like Josh, and then I'm like, okay, I can't say that to the other person. And then Josh is like, tame it down, and I'm like, okay.
I often get drafts of things she should say, and I'm like, delete that, delete that.
And then my dad just always has a smile on his face, always have a good time. There's always a good thing to come out of it. So probably that from the two of them.
What about you, Josh?
So with me, I worked for Dad for 9 years. So I left high school and started in the shop fitting industry, which
That's
is
right.
he owns a family business.
And you did your apprenticeship there?
Did my apprenticeships. I did 4.5 years, I think, whatever it was on the tools, and then I moved into a junior project management role under Dad. At that point, there was one other project manager who I was kind of underneath, but it wasn't very long in. He left, and then it was kind of me and Dad for another, whatever the remaining was, 3 or 4 years, 5 years even maybe. But I guess what a hard lesson that he taught, which I don't know whether I ground on or not, but it's quite funny because when I was on the tools, and you know, his mentality was, as long as you're working, you're making money, you're going in the right direction, you're young, whatever. So he'd always send me away interstate, and these are the years of 18 to 22 or 20, whatever it was. And so I was always interstate, always traveling, and it was hard with the girlfriend at the time and all this stuff. And we had a good network of friends who, like family friends we used to work with, but whenever there was a birthday on, somehow I'd always been interstate.
Oh, really?
And Dad would FaceTime me from the party, like 18th birthday, just
That's such a him thing to do.
That is
It was just
devastating
like-
at that age, too.
Absolutely. It was so hard. But it was just his way of saying that, like, life's not just a party. It was almost like you got to knuckle down and work,
He's really taught you hard work, and I think
Absolutely.
he's very
And-
solutions driven, which so are you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That stuff's quite grounding.
There's a lot to it, but it's like, it was just, work hard, and work hard young too, to set yourself up. So he pushed me right into investment really young. So I was very fortunate to buy investment property at just before I turned 19.
Wow.
So that was all him, and that was predominantly working 100-hour weeks interstate. Things like, I'd be working stupid hours, and if you don't get a 10-hour break, you're on double time the next day. So I was like on double time for most of my apprenticeship, because I would just never sleep. I'd always be working.
Wow.
And he'd love that. I mean, anyone else was doing it, he'd cut the shits. But if I was working 100-hour weeks, that's like beautiful. Like,
Do you think he, because I had this thing with my dad, do you think he envisaged you taking over the business?
100%.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no doubt. That was forever his dream. And ironically, it's a big reason why I ended up leaving. So
Yeah.
the thing with Dad is a very strong, stern businessman as far as what I think is right, and that's it.
Yeah.
Do it my way or don't worry about it. I'll do it myself. So when it got to the point where I was, 5 or 4 years into a project management role underneath him, he's starting to talk about, taking over and stuff. I just said, I'm like, there's not once I felt like this is a team. I always work for you. I always will work for you. So I just made a decision. That was kind of a good little segue into where Soda started. I decided to leave, and
I just remember when you left. It was such a we had a conversation. I think we had dinner on like a Tuesday, and on Thursday he's like, "So I've left," and we were like,
What?
Yeah.
And then on Sunday you went to China.
Yeah, we had a meeting, and that's where G and I met and stuff. And
Fell
it
in
was
love.
not met, but we discussed the potential of starting a
Rekindled.
business. And after that, I was like, that's it. That's all I needed. I needed just something to go to and put my mind to. And like you said, I finished my job on a Friday or whatever, and the following Tuesday or Thursday, I flew to China. And
Do you know what, though? Like, that can act as sort of a good guide or a forcing function to make you want to prove what you're doing.
yeah,
Like, because
100%.
my dad always wanted me to do printing. And at the age of like 16, I could have easily run one of the big printing presses, but I just refused to do it. Like, it was just such a boring, I don't know, it's just an old way of doing things. And then as time went on and we now have our own business, it's sort of, you I don't know if you feel that, but I always feel like the need to prove myself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really feel like I need to prove myself, but I definitely crave like creative outlet where I wasn't getting that at that job. It was just stressful, huge hours,
Yeah.
the burden of like letting dad down, or you know, when you're working this close every day, and even like a portion of that I was living at home when I was younger, like you're working and then eating dinner and getting up, and it's like too much. So
Yeah.
it wore thin, and I mean, leaving's probably the best thing I ever did, because my relationship with dad's 30 times better than what it was
Yeah,
then. And
it's always
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And it's been amazing for us how we've been able to involve him in the business, and
Yeah,
we
I
do
mean-
some stuff at the property, and you know, you just see his face light up
He loves
when
it.
we're like, "Oh, could we do this?" And he's like, "Well, we could do da-da-da," and we're like, "Okay." And he just loves it. He loves being able to
Yeah.
work with you again. It's a really nice thing to do.
for the first year of year and
We
a
worked out
half,
of office,
we
yeah.
worked out of where I used to work. So
Did you really?
my last project at APS was we built the new facility, the new factory and office, and there was a bottom division that me and my brother had. It was double size this room, and we just had it was separated to
It's
the
great.
company we worked at. So that was a soda and midnight office where my brother's company. So we worked out of there every day.
He'd come in every day and he'd sort of just like look over our shoulder being like, "So what are you guys doing?" "What is that there?" And we're like, "Oh, we don't even know." Probably just like online shopping, looking at something.
Well, you mentioned before about this meeting, catching up for dinner on a Tuesday. I want to sort of segue into that and
Yeah.
work out what is the sort of first conversation you guys had. I know that you're working, I guess this is how you know Aiden, right? You worked at Frank
Yeah.
Body in social.
Yeah.
He was working at, what was the agency called?
Willow and Blake.
Willow and Blake,
Yeah.
that's it. So you were doing that. So the two of you clearly have like a background in creative marketing,
Yeah.
retail, social, all that sort of stuff. When I think at the time, Kick had just really kicked off.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Pardon the pun.
Keep it clean would have been better.
Keep
It was kind of clean. Yeah,
Because
you're
the
right.
app wasn't out yet.
Yeah, you're right.
So it really just begun. So I think
Yeah.
2018 is when you guys were like first looking at this, but you must have had
Yeah, we did.
conversations for months or a year even
It was
before.
like, it was October.
It was
And we didn't
October.
launch until February 1st
Yeah.
of 2018.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Steph and I worked together at Frank.
Okay.
So she was one of the first influencers I worked with
and that's how you met.
when I first started at Frank. So she was literally one of the first that the girls were like, "We want you to work with this person." And I was like,
Cool.
"Cool, she looks fun." And we really hit it off. Steffi and I became really good friends. We're just very similar, very down to earth, just sort of say it how it is type attitude. And so I worked with her for, my whole career at Frank. So
Yep.
3.5 years.
Yep.
And quite closely as well. She was sort of on our books consistently that we would do work with her. We sort of, it was a very fluid working relationship with all of the talent we worked with at Frank.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much a monetary thing. It was purely like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" And Steph would be like, "Oh, I'm doing this month," or "I'm going here." And we'd find a way to work together, which was really nice, and it made it really fun. And then we sort of had a mutual respect for how each other worked, I think was the major thing that brought Steph and I together. And the boys actually knew each other randomly. When
I still laugh about this.
they did a campaign together,
So Luke used to own a hat company called,
like 5-panel snapbacks.
what's it called? Ducks.
I don't know, something
They were
like
like parachute material hats.
real
Okay.
random.
Real random, really colourful, like blue and pink and orange and
do,
whatever.
you, do you still have...
Luke still has
Ever?
hundreds of these hats in his parents' garage.
Yeah.
You'll have to send me a
have
snap
to
of
have
this
a hat.
later on.
Yeah. I'll be able to find your photo of like our little photo shoot. But anyway, this guy, and it was Luke at Little Red Jet, hit me up one day.
Which is still his business name to this day.
I think it would have been Instagram probably. And he goes, oh, hey, what do you reckon about me coming and shooting some hats on you and just give you a slab of beer? This is like early Instagram deals. I'm like,
What year was
my
this?
dad,
What year was
this? I'm getting free beer. This would have been,
What, 5 years ago?
yeah, like, no more. This is before I travelled.
Oh, yeah.
This is like
7.
7 years ago, more even.
Yeah, so this is
Something like that.
early
But
Instagram days.
They didn't
Yeah.
know this. So when we went and had dinner for the first time, the 4 of us, we went to St. Cloud. The boys were kind of like, hang on. And so in your phone, is
Yeah.
Luke still Luke Young Hats?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still to this day, Luke Young Hats.
Don't you love that with phones? Like, you always have,
great.
like, you know,
It's the best.
first name company.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think just between the 4 of us, we felt really privileged that, well, first and foremost, we were friends. And I think that there's a lot of businesses that start for a lot of different reasons, but we started as friends with a real mutual respect for how we all worked, which still to this day is probably the underlying thing that gets us through. There's certainly pressing times and conversations, but they're healthy ones because we all have that level of respect. And we knew that we wanted to do something that was unisex. All 4 of us wanted to be involved. We all wanted to have an opinion. We all wanted to help with the design. There was no one who was really like, I want to do this or I want to do that. We're all kind of like, this is fun.
Yeah.
And you guys had thought about Sunnies before.
Yeah. Steph and I dabbled with a friend of ours to do a little collab thing with Sunny. So we had a little bit of background as far as the process of designing sunglasses and bringing to market. Unfortunately, both mine and her pair didn't go to market in the end after a period of time. So it's a bit of a tease. We were like, oh, that was fun. And
I want to do it.
well, we had the samples.
Yeah.
We went through all that process and like photo shoots and all this stuff. So we kind of experienced kind of what it was to design or draw it, design it, sample it, shoot it.
Yeah.
I don't still to this day know why it didn't come out, but it's probably a blessing in
Yeah.
disguise, really.
Yeah, it
Everything
is.
happens for a reason, and that was a bit of a fundamental because we were like, Steph and I were like, back then was one of the most things we ever got asked. We both wore heaps of sunnies, always had different sunnies. We just liked it, and we shared them and whatnot. So we kind of said like, let's do a unisex sunglass company.
Yeah, well, you and Steph are sort of the market, in a way, market research, right? With
Yeah,
that audience, you would have
absolutely.
people ask you things all
Well, that
the time.
was I mean,
Any requests for feet shots for you yet?
for what? Sorry.
Feet shots? You know,
Feet.
this is one of the weird things that we hear regularly from influencers that come in, like
Oh, yeah,
feet
can you
is
show
a
me
thing.
your feet?
Yeah.
No, you haven't had a
Oh no, no, and we fetish and stuff. No, I never had a foot fetish person hit me up. No, no.
So sunnies. So I know, like, when Steph was into saying, okay, we'd been, you know, we pinched sunnies off each other,
Yeah.
saying that we'd always liked.
Yep.
Like what you said, you did the test with this company, and then when was the conversation? Do you remember it? Like, were you guys at a cafe?
Yeah, we were at dinner.
We were at dinner.
We're eating chicken wings.
And
And
funny-
Steph ordered for us, which she still does to this day.
And funny
we
enough,
never order our own food. do
Luke
we?
brings his
Really?
laptop to dinner, which is a standard procedure.
Luke.
Anywhere Luke is, his laptop's somewhere within
Is he a documenter?
arm's reach.
Loves a spreadsheet.
Loves a
doesn't he?
spreadsheet. So we're sitting there and he flips open the spreadsheet and he's like, I've done some numbers. And this thing was like, like pages, like figures.
Yeah.
And it was, I just remember something crazy number. He's like, within 6 months we'll make $19 million. And I was just like, whoa, bring it dad.
And Steph and I like chicken wings.
I'm like, I've made it. I'm making $19 million next December. This is amazing.
Yeah.
I might be exaggerating the figure, but it was something.
It was something astronomical.
crazy.
It
And he's
was
like, all
insane.
you got to do is sell this amount. I'm like, well, you can do that. We can do that. Awesome.
Yeah. And then from there, it really, I guess.
Well, that was then, yeah. Then I was like, righto, I'm going to phase out of work, leave.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
my brother, this was my brother at the time, he's still my brother.
You sure?
He was going to China a bit with his bikini company. So we reached out to his kind of contact over there and said, do you know any sunglass manufacturers? Real basic stuff. Like, anyone make sunnies? He's like, yeah, we got a guy. So I jumped on the flight with him on his next meeting, which was 3 weeks after that dinner pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Or maybe a bit longer. I don't know when that dinner was.
Yeah.
But yeah, off we went and came back with
Yeah.
4 styles that
4
we designed.
styles,
That's what we launched with.
But I think we spent a lot of time in that conversation, and Luke's background very much, he loves a computer, like always,
Yeah.
always crunching numbers. But we also knew that there was a massive gap, and there was the gap to connect with an audience. And I felt like
Yeah.
there was no brands at the moment who were connecting on a personal level.
Yeah.
And my background is very heavily all in marketing, and there was a lot of stuff that I'd been sort of employed by brands for, 6-week to 6-month period, and I'd given them ideas and they haven't used them. And I'd be really bummed because I'm like, well, I've come up with this really cool idea. You won't use it. And I was like, well, I can use that in my own brand.
Yeah.
And it's been so fun being able to actually put some of these ideas into play and see them work.
Yeah.
And similarly with Luke, he's able to build the tech side of things, so he was able to customise the text message software. So we sort of felt like we had a good product or a product concept and also a way to actually deliver that product to people.
Yeah, and you didn't have too many gaps in the team that you could hack it together and get it out there.
That's where our team's really strong, is we all have a great skill set and such variety in skill set too, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was thinking about that, like, you guys, my note here was like, awesome foursome.
Yeah, we're very fortunate.
We'll take that.
You've said in prior interviews, I think it was the Amazon Launchpad one, that like there's clear benefits to each of them. I guess I was curious, what do you think, what couldn't you do without each other? What do you think each person brings?
Well, I can't model.
Yeah.
At all. In fact, whenever we do a photo shoot, I'm like, come on, Steph, just do it like this. And everyone just looks at me like, you probably couldn't do an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, no. But even like when it comes to going out to companies and brands, like G and I probably spend more time together as far as word vomiting, everything, and then we kind of collate and distribute in whatever way it is. So, I mean, like, my strength isn't obviously sending out all the fancy emails and whatnot, but I'm good at kind of building out what I want in it. And then,
all the key parts. I mean, for Luke, he can't spell. So
nor can I though, so leave that to you.
And is the world's worst communicator. So we kind of all sort of balance each other out. I think, I mean, the biggest thing that we had no knowledge about, and still to this day are learning, is, supply and demand.
Yeah.
And developing a product. We've had some sort of very fortunate encounters along the way, but we've also had a lot of hiccups.
Yep.
So we're just a small team and we're very transparent with our audience. And I think that's the biggest thing. And that was something we said from the beginning. We want to bring out a quality product is sort of number one. But if we can't, or if there's any reason why we get held up, just be honest about it.
Yeah.
We're not perfect. And the audience we're talking to is just like us. So that's been really successful for us.
Yeah, I think there's clear, like, it reminds me a lot of July and this whole direct-to-consumer model. Just back on the point of what you guys bring, I think it's quite obvious, like, you're clearly the guy who'll go out to manufacture. Like, just think about your experience flying out as part of that retail role. And I can see that you're very much like a brand strategist coming from that background. And I see Luke as sort of the guy that it sounds like he loves the back of house stuff.
He just tells us how much money we can spend.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And then Steph is clearly, like, in my opinion, a very, very smart marketer.
Yeah.
And obviously brings influence as well.
Well, and I think the best thing, well, not the best, but one of the best things about Steffi is she's able to have those conversations with her audience. And it's funny how you say they were like a test case in terms of doing their sunnies. Literally, if we have a product and we're not sure about it, Steph will put up a poll and be like, do you guys like these?
We've done that, like, in development
Customer
meetings.
research.
And
in Hong Kong, we've done it.
Within, like, we're at a table designing stuff. She'll put a pair on. What do you think? It'll come back like 2%. We're like, right, move on. Next one's like 88. We're like, even that's one we're like not sure on. We're like, oh, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
And there's already feedback. It's like, it's super powerful as far as...
Yeah, great for A/B testing and all that sort of stuff.
Amazing. But, I mean, Steph's just connection with her audience is just incredible. It's one, I mean, it's personally, I've worked with my fair share of marketers like Steph, and I haven't worked with anyone better. Her ability to tell us what works and what doesn't work, and then be able to be like, hey, G, I tried this thing and this worked, but could you tell me why maybe this didn't work, is just incredible. And we're so fortunate to be able to work with her so closely.
I want to come back to Steph later, but I got to ask about the name. I know that you were the one that she mentioned. You were the one that mentioned soda. There's obvious themes of, like, summer, parties, fun.
You just nailed it. That's it.
Where, like, that, all I see with your marketing is that. Like, actually, you can't. It's really
great.
So,
like, it's really obvious.
Sorry.
I was curious, like, when did you guys think, like, that was the? Because it sounds like you wanted to take what you all are, and just condense it into a brand.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm trying to think of the name we had originally. Remember?
Don't say it.
Yeah, it was no. She said it on the episode. It was like a
opulence.
Yeah, it was not a good name.
It was opulence, which means like rich. which, look at us, we're not rich. We run a charity, basically.
Is that what it was? Opulence?
Opulence.
Yeah.
Look, it was hard. It was really hard. I remember toing and froing for ages. You and I probably spoke about it the most, just going back and forth.
What about
and then that was the main word we came to. We want it to be fun and we want it to be summer. I was very fortunate in my days working at Frank that the girls taught me everything when it comes to sort of coming up with something with meaning and something with purpose and something you can actually use in a sentence, which I think is sort of where soda then came from. And soda for us is less about the thing, soda, although I love soda water, more about the feeling that soda has and that summer has. And for us, it's all about that feeling of when you crack open a can or that sound and you hear that hiss and you get that pastel fizz. For us, that just makes me excited.
And that was like also our base to our colour palette of our brand.
Yeah.
So all the opaque pink and purples, it was like when you fill up your glass of soft drink, it's like that colour at the top. That's kind of where that stemmed, like.
And then the packaging.
Where did you, like, what was the moment where it triggered it? Were you just drinking, like, a can of something?
Actually,
Because, like,
when I remember the day, I was actually still at APS working. Because I was down in Frankston
Perfect.
fixing something at a shaver shop, and you rang me and you're like, I remember I was walking down the mall and you're like, what do you reckon about soda? And I was like, oh yeah. I wasn't too like sure on it at the start.
I remember no one was too sure of it at the start, and I had to really flesh it out further. So I started there, and I still have the 6-page document that I wrote, and I wrote it in like sentences. I wrote phrases, so like the look of a Sundays, all those sorts of things. And then we started fleshing it out more on this whole seeing through soda concept, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And then it's been really fun. Yeah. It's been really fun to develop on it.
We've been able to play on it really well and easily, which is quite cool.
Because the hardest thing you have as business owners and marketers is standing out. And marketing these days, like, actually, like I was just doing my own research on the website. I'm like, okay, so they run no Google ads. It's basically parties. I was trying to trigger the ad. I reckon I'd been on your website like 6 times. I'm like, are they retargeting? Okay, there's a bit of retargeting there. But like the bulk of it is text and parties and all that sort of stuff. It is quite a competitive advantage.
Well, that's kind of where the parties came about. We were never going to be a predominant event party-based marketing business by any means. I mean,
and it's quite ironic, really. Steph and I aren't big drinkers or partiers, the boys.
We got the opportunity to launch the company with an old friend, still friend of mine, Nick Russian.
Oh, yeah.
Who's the ex-owner of Eve Nightclub. Yeah. So he's got this business called Together Events. I worked with Nick at Eve Nightclub for
and I'd worked with
5
Rosa.
years.
Yeah, everyone in Melbourne who's been to Eve knows
Nick. So
so we knew them,
He was a legend and gave us the opportunity to actually launch our brand at the St Kilda Fest.
Which was insane.
Captain Baxter rooftop party.
Did he approach you? Or?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, yeah,
I think
maybe.
we'd just seen him. I think you'd seen him, and then he knew my background in marketing.
Yeah.
You two were great mates.
Yeah.
But for someone to give us the opportunity and have the faith in a brand that literally didn't exist, like, was incredible.
It didn't exist. So, we rocked up there and...
Why? What do you think he saw in it?
I mean, there's probably a few things there. Like he sees, it's obviously a good thing to have Steph along to a party. My past relationship with him, working for him, is a bit of a thank you, maybe, to a degree.
And I think also he believed us.
Yeah.
He trusted us and he trusted what we were selling. And I think that's got us everywhere. And, 99% of where we are today is because we're very trustworthy, we're very true to our word, we're very hard workers. And I think Nick saw that. And still to this day, we did it in February this year. It was our second birthday. And we're down there
so that was our third party with Nick on the rooftop.
Hanging flags.
Yeah.
And, a lot of founders aren't the people down there doing that nowadays. But that's just who we are and what we do.
Yeah.
I guess once that happened, we kind of saw...
You realised
traditional influencer marketing kind of 2 years ago was like send everyone a bunch of stuff and they post and hopefully they do and sometimes they don't. Then it was like, then contracts started coming to stuff. So I guess our way, we never want to force our product onto people. I mean, we do send out stuff to people all the time, but predominantly it's if they've asked for it. Yeah. Sometimes if we're launching something new, we'll say, hey, do you like it? If you want it, let us know. And they'll go, yeah, we do. Off it goes. But instead of like stepping away from that, I guess every brand and every influencer is just plugging products, we were like, let's put on these events and work with venues and alcohol companies and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And create an experience for our consumer.
Yeah.
And our influencers. So when they come, they have the best time ever. They still get their product. But when they think down the track about sunglasses, they remember us because that awesome day and experience they had. That's kind of where we saw such success early on. And then then obviously other companies and venues were like, what are you guys doing?
It goes back to that feeling.
It just kind of snowballed on. So
it's that positive feeling that is sort of around the brand that we wanted to have. I mean, anyone really can make a pair of sunnies, but I don't think everyone can put on an experience that makes you walking away going, I had a great day. There was lovely people there. I want to go again. I like the soda feeling.
I think, like, because I was thinking about this with Ethan, like, I reckon that the model of business that you guys have means that, or sort of forces you to come up with marketing ideas that aren't as expensively priced as, say, what Facebook properties are nowadays, or influence, or all these sort of standard channels that exist. It actually makes you think longer and deeper about, like, what actually develops brand. Because like, it's harder, but it also, when you can get it right, it has better results. And because in this business, you got to put all your money into, like, manufacturing, right? And customer service.
I mean, the bottom line is we can't afford to do those glamorous marketing initiatives that, you know, we might like to do or we might see other people doing. And it's also not how I would be if we did have the money. It's not how I'd spend it anyway. So we pour every dollar back into making more product because we're very fortunate that it all sells out. So, you know, that's why Josh was saying about with influencers and how we work with them, we actually don't have enough product, enough stock to send to every influencer every time around, because then we won't have any to sell. So it has to be a bit of a conversation. Do you like this pair? It's all good. If you don't, move on.
Yeah.
And that's cool. You know, every pair's not for everyone.
Yep.
It's got me thinking about this business model, because when you go through the website, like, it again reminds me of July, and you look at the price point. You've spoken about affordability, but it's when you actually get the product and you realize, like, actually it's not that this is affordable. Like, this is really, really fucking good when you get it.
Yeah.
Like, I was blown away when I got, I don't know who had some soda sunglasses. It was, like, obviously Steph, but someone else brought them in, and I was like, because I bought the standard, what's the Oliver Peoples sort of brand that's made in California? Not the actual Oliver Peoples.
Not Bailey Nelson.
No.
No.
It was made by the guy who designed it, Oliver Peoples. This is what I mean. I can't even remember the fucking name.
I don't know.
But they're, you know, some $400 pair. And I was like comparing it. And actually last week I got a new July bag, and it's the same thing. I was comparing my Qantas branded bag to my July bag, and it's like the difference in craftsmanship is quite distinct.
Yeah.
It's been a huge priority of ours is to deliver. Well, at the moment, we're already delivering something, I guess, that far outsees its price point.
Yeah.
And that was super important to us. We didn't want to put our names or our brand to something that we weren't proud of as far as quality. When you pick up, like, our first thing, when you pick up a pair of sunglasses, you want the comment to be like, oh, these feel good. Almost surprised by the fact that they're $89.
Yeah.
And they feel...
That's your hardest job as marketers,
like,
is to
and it's
convince people that
like,
they are...
with sunglasses, like, the first thing, you don't even have to wear them. You don't have to look, see what they look like. When you pick them up, oh, they feel good.
And I think a lot of that came from my experience is if you've got a really great product, that's something you can control. So we can control that the product's going to be the top quality. There's elements, though, once you get bigger that you can't control. So once you go into a retailer, once I hand over my product, I have no control over that. And I remember being on a trip in America for one of my clients and doing some market research and going into some of the retail stores and seeing the product on the shelves, and it was really poorly visual merchandised, or someone had, like, picked it up and ripped away. And I remember vividly calling the founder and being like, I'm just going to buy it all. I can't have it sitting on the shelves. It looks so bad. And that's our worst nightmare. And that's why we haven't gone into retail yet, because we wanted to get it to a stage where we were really proud and we could hand it over to an Osmosis or a City Beach or whoever, and they'd go, oh, this is amazing. I don't even have to maintain this. And we're there, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
I thought about that. Like, what do you do with that? Because we had Alex from the Fifth in, and he was talking about, because now they're going to get just like a showroom like July has. Like, so you can buy something there, but it's really, the purpose is to go and, you know, touch the thing.
Yeah.
So what have you thought about that?
For retail?
Yeah.
For us,
Talk about what's down on the water.
yeah.
It's a beautiful touch point.
So for us, it's about looking at retail. Our sort of tagline is through a different lens.
Yeah.
In the sense that just being a bit more creative with our retail placement, because I mean the margins for us are small because the price point is low, and that's something that we don't want to change. But sunnies are really handy, is what we've figured out. So our first retail placement, which we locked in December. Yep, December. So we are now behind the bar at Arbury afloat, which is really cool.
Oh, yeah.
So a sunny bar, a cool place. We know some of the guys in marketing there, and they just hit me up, and it just came to life, which was super cool. And they've gone through a few hundred pairs now.
Yeah. So I think we're one of the first physical retail product on a bar menu.
So we sit on the menu. So we sit next to a margarita.
next to like the vodka and Jack Daniels. You get a soda can, and the way it works is it's $89 like anywhere else. But when you buy it, they'll take the sunnies out, you put them on your face, and you give the can back, and they'll give you a free cocktail in the soda can.
That's sick.
Yeah.
So it's like what G said. It's like those unique, different ways to retail our product that isn't traditional as such.
When did that come about? How recent?
December 2019.
Early December, yeah.
Yeah, really early.
Interesting.
So we're in the process at the moment of exploring that further, of what does that look like as far as going to every sunny bar.
Yeah, because the world's really your oyster when you can start thinking of engaging, particularly with like hospitality venues.
Hospitality is interesting to us. I mean, I worked in hospo for 8 or 10 or longer, 10 years plus. And then when we started Soda, we were like, what does our retail presence look like? What do we want? It goes back to that feeling. When someone comes into our store or a store where we're sitting, how do we want them to feel when they see the product? How do we want them to feel when they walk out and they have it in their hand? And then we did that pop-up at Bumble, which was really cool. That was our first time we ever sold sunnies. And we assumed that being Bumble, Steph had done a lot of work with Bumble, I'd done some work with Bumble, we just kind of assumed the customer would overlap. We were like, oh, everyone will know who Soda is. And about 80% had never heard of us before, which we were like, what?
Yeah.
But we were also like, Luke on the data was like, this is so exciting.
Yeah.
And then we sold so much product. Do you remember? We were all four of us, because we didn't have a proper method. We had it in this cool display cabinet, but then all this product was just under a trestle table. All four of us, we're crawling around on our hands and knees trying to find product, calling, Steph, can you get this?
Yeah, it was madness.
It was mad, but it was so cool. I mean, we had hundreds of pairs of sunnies leave that day.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I could see it down at your Riva.
Yeah.
Bar
Exactly.
during
That's
summer.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never. Has this been done before?
I don't believe so. I did a bit of searching around online, and I haven't seen anything as far as...
Yeah, I can.
I mean, a lot of beach clubs that I've looked at overseas have your little merch store where they'll have hats and towels and t-shirts and whatever. But as far as actually having a retail product on a menu, I haven't seen it.
What would be the pinnacle bar, restaurant, beach cafe for you?
In Melbourne?
Anywhere in the world. I'm thinking about, is it Finn's Beach Club down in...
I'm literally... That's where my mind is going a million miles right now, is over to Bali, over to California, over to anywhere, Venice, anything that's...
There's a few spots in the US that we would love to do. We've done 2 events in New York now, which were really successful. One was on a pool rooftop, the other was sort of more enclosed. I mean, if you could get it at a Malibu Soho House equivalent, but sort of for a younger audience, that would be cool. These places where you need a pair of sunglasses and if you've forgotten them, you're annoyed.
That's
But you're not povo, so you don't want to buy shitty sunglasses from a service station.
Yeah.
You want good quality.
I mean, Arbery
That's who we want.
Arbery works so good because, I don't know if you've been there, but when you're on it, you, especially on sunset, the water comes down onto the Yarra and straight into your eyes, and you spend the whole day like this.
You need something.
So the waiters were actually saying, before we were there, people would try to buy the sunnies off the waiters.
No.
Can I please buy your sunnies off you? I can't see. I'm trying to have a
That should be
conversation.
your target. Anywhere that there's a water...
Where there's something
nearby.
really bright.
But what's worked really well as well is because it's been our first retail spot, we've had probably, I don't know, just done anywhere around 100 people via DM or text. Hey, I heard your sunnies are at Arbery. Can you tell us what stock's there? I'm going to go buy them. I'm going to go try them on. And people aren't even staying for their free
People
drink.
will walk in and buy sunnies and leave. And they're like...
Because they just want the sunnies.
There's something so good about that tactileness. Because, the podcast gets way more listens on audio. But the video is what, really changed it. it made it real, if that makes sense. So I can sort of see like how that would be quite similar.
Yeah.
For sure.
Supply chain, we're talking about coronavirus down in the kitchen.
Yes.
I know that... do you guys get your stuff manufactured in Hong Kong?
No. I'll touch on that a little bit. So we have a business partner based in Hong Kong, which is our manufacturer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a team over there of roughly...
150?
Yeah.
140?
So they're a huge business that manufacture global sunglasses.
Like 30
We're very
2 million
fortunate
pairs a
in the
year.
fact that they would never even give us a look in, but they approached us and said, we like what you're doing in the market. Can we talk? So we went and met them, and they now have a share of our company. But based on that, I mean, having them to, like, going back a little bit to when we were designing, leaning, like when we first started Soda, when the first 4 pairs that we launched with, that was purely just what we think was cool at the time. Now we've got the advantage of having data, and, you know, they're selling 32 million pairs a year. So we'll walk in and go, I'm loving these, and they're like, don't, because that style stinks.
And
Doesn't sell.
They're selling to brands that are so big and planning so far in advance that they know what's coming.
So we have a
what's
team
not.
member there that's a trend projectionist, essentially. So she travels the world, fashion shows, and she just sits down with us and goes, this is sick in like 12 months, and we're all like, nah, I'd never wear that. And then,
it always
the next
happens,
year we
and
sit
we're
in the
like-
office, I walk in with a pair of sunnies, she's like, I told you. Like, so now we listen to her, but having that advantage is unbelievable.
That's interesting, because I've always wondered how that works, because Ethan said the same thing. We've got a business partner, and so I'm guessing it's just like some sort of shareholder agreement where they become part of the business in a way.
Yeah, so they really they weren't doing anything in the social media space at all. They were very much, hi Zara, here are our pairs.
Yeah, here's 200,000 of them, like distributed around the world,
Yeah, so they just found, I guess, our business model and the conversations we were having, and more so, I guess, the conversations we were starting, fascinating. They just couldn't believe it. And I still remember vividly when Daniel, the owner, he's Australian but lives in Hong Kong, came to one of our parties, and he was just like, what is this? What have you guys done? But in the best possible way. He brought his friends, and they just stood there listening to Rufus being like, is this real?
Yeah.
How long's he been in the business for?
Daniel?
Like in the sunglasses game?
Oh.
Ages,
I don't
forever.
know.
Like
That'd be a fascinating
They've got
concept.
offices in New York, London,
Barcelona.
Hong Kong,
Yep.
South Africa.
I don't know.
Does he wear his sunglasses at night?
He actually wears our sunglasses, which is really cool. Well, I mean,
Luke wears his sunglasses at night. Doesn't it's always a branding opportunity?
But back to supply chain. So with that,
Yeah, how's that been?
so we obviously had, I mean, a lot of companies who just deal directly with the factory would be getting a lot of, I guess, mumbo jumbo, you know. But having Daniel, and predominantly everyone over there is like Australian, and if not, speaks perfect English too. So when you pick up the phone, it's just like a conversation like this, which is amazing. But as far as we're aware right now, all our manufacturing factories are shut down.
Really?
They're not working.
We have a few thousand units sitting ready to come that were due about 6 weeks ago.
So we doubled down on our top 6 sellers for the Love tour that we did throughout February. So we're supposed to receive stock start of Jan, or mid-Jan, I think it was, 13th of January, ready for that influx of kind of brand awareness. So we went on tour, did the 3 weeks of For the Love with no stock, essentially. Not no stock, but I mean, we're probably 85% sold out of all our good stuff, like our main sellers. So that was, we doubled down to be able to capitalize on all that spend on this tour, and we had nothing to sell. I mean, we launched 2 new styles, which is kind of what
That
saved us big time. Like we got them just in before this went down. So without that, we'd be a lot worse off.
Yeah, I've heard some horror stories.
But we've been told end of March. But, you know, what I'm kind of understanding is they're saying that, but then China's only got so many boats and whatnot, they can get everything out, or planes or whatever. So it's kind of just get in line. I mean, the world's trying to get everything out at the moment.
Yeah,
The cost has skyrocketed, the freight
landed
cost.
cost has gone up.
So I think, I mean, for us, it's affecting us like it's affecting anyone else who's in this market. we were actually just talking about this before. We feel very fortunate that we had quite a busy summer in the sense that we made a lot of noise, not necessarily selling. We sold a lot of product, but noise in the social space and event space that made sure people knew who Soda was and what we're all about. So even though we don't have product to capitalise on that now in sales, we've got tens of thousands of people waiting to purchase who have just sort of come into our funnel and are going, feed me. And once the stock comes, we will feed them. So we were kind of saying we're having a bit of a break. In the sense we're just going, what now? And I mean,
from December through to now has been
nuts.
Madness with the events. How many have we done? I'm trying to put a number. It's like probably 7, I think. Large scale events that we've put on.
Well, that has me thinking about product strategy, because I know that one of the things you guys did really well is you sort of have hero products, and as you say before, you doubled down on those 6. What does the future hold for product? How are you thinking about that?
Well, so the heroes, our initial strategy was 1 new product every month was the plan. So it sort of was like blast a text, here, meet Florence, she's online, bye, she'll be around for a while. Florence sold out very fast, a lot faster than we expected, so that strategy sort of fell by the wayside. So we've sort of just by default found these hero products that people just time and time again want.
We've developed our core range essentially by seeing what people really respond to.
Yeah. But in terms of, I guess, the future, I mean, we're very lucky that we have these sort of forecasters that we work with, but it's also it's having these transparent conversations with our audience. What do you want to see more of? Especially with Steph. Steffi, what do you want to be wearing? What do you see coming up in trends? What are gaps that you're seeing in the market? But also, I guess exactly what we were talking about before, Soda has filled that spot for a quality product at an affordable price point. Sunnies, there's sunnies in lots of different areas. So, we're thinking snow, we're thinking kids, we're thinking more elite sports. We've just finished 6 different colours with Dylan Alcott, which has been really fun. So he's worn a different colour pair of Dylan's.
At every Grand Slam.
At every Grand Slam, which has been really cool. I mean, he loves them. He wears them in everyday life and looks somewhat insane. But that's been really fun for us to have a pair that sits in sport, which, Luke's dad can wear. He wears them cycling or in triathlons, or the boys can wear playing golf, or Steph can wear running. Yeah,
there's a lot there. I mean, it just gives you now the opportunity to think about what different areas to go into. Maybe you should create some coronavirus goggles.
Maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
I heard Culture Kings was sending a free mask with every order of $50. I was like, that's genius.
What, like a 3M mask?
I don't know what the type of mask is, but a free mask with an order over $50.
That's so fucking
Love
funny.
that.
That's good.
I'm going to have to look that up after. I want to jump back as we sort of get to our rapid fire questions, and this room continues to heat up. Steph, we're talking about her before. She gave me some good notes on you guys.
Perfect.
I was saying before, she's clearly a marketing genius, but she also was very, I guess you could say, like, very appreciative of you guys when she gave me the notes. I think she quite likes your creativity and imagination, G, and I think she likes your selflessness in particular. She said extroversion. I don't know if you agree with that.
Haven't really thought about it. I'll need to think about it.
What have you guys learnt from her that she probably bought from the kick business in particular?
I've learned from her that I don't have much going on compared to her.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think I'm stressed, then I look at her calendar, I'm like, okay, shut up, get on with it. I mean, everyone gets stressed, but like, she manages her time and workload like I've never seen anyone do. She's in a million places and does a million things, and her mind can be a million areas of, there's a lot of things that goes on between what they're doing over there and then the groceries and then us and then home and then everything else. So the way she manages everything without really blowing her lid ever is crazy.
Yeah.
She's so busy.
I would agree. I think I learnt it from her, but I also have learnt it from a mentor of mine about the ability to listen has been a really big thing. And Steph might have an opinion on something, but she's always there to listen to your opinion too, and then talk it through with you. And I think that we've had, between the four of us, we've had some really great conversations where one of us has been, you know, frustrated with the other or pissed off with the other or whatever. But Steph's ability to talk it through with us and just be transparent and honest with us, that has really shaped the direction of the business. There's times where she's just like, guys, I'm off for a month. I've got so much going on with Kick or whatever it is. I need to focus here. If you need me, call me and I'm there for you. But I can't really be on those day-to-day calls or whatever. And that's fine. But had she have not told us that, we'd be like, well, where is she?
Yeah.
She's not pulling her weight. Whereas we know what's going on and we know the areas she loves. We knows the stuff she's not so interested in. And that's been really great
We've
for
really
us.
fine-tuned that now too. It's great.
It's
we
really
know
good.
where we can utilise her and where to leave her alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's
it's been
very
amazing.
clear now, so it's good.
Yeah, and I think also something she's taught all of us is looking after ourselves. It's very easy, you know, doing soda, but then also doing, for me, 4 or 5 other things to forego that side of things, just mindfulness, but also obviously exercise and everything. And she's the first person to come home and be like, gee, off we go. We're taking Ari for a walk. We're doing something else. I know you've been sitting at that computer from when I left at 7 o'clock this morning. And I'm like, I have.
Yeah, that is a very valuable trait. I'm terrible at that shit. I constantly have to remind. I've got like alarms to go to have breaks.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, I want to jump into some rapid fire questions to finish us off.
Perfect.
What does your morning routine look like?
Mine involves coffee. They're different.
Yeah.
It really depends. We travel a lot.
Yeah.
Is the thing that I would say, especially Luke and I. You know, we're here, there and everywhere. And if you ask Aiden or any of my friends, they're like, oh, where have you been now? Yeah. And someone actually asked me this the other day and I was like, oh, I was only away for 10 days. And they were like, but you were there. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then when I said it out loud, I was like, I've been in Newcastle, Brisbane, Gold Coast, Hunter Valley and Sydney. And they were like, wow, that's gross.
Yeah.
So for me, something I'm mindful of is it's tiny, but when I wake up and turn my alarm off, don't look at my phone.
Okay.
Just lie in bed for 2 minutes and just remember I'm grateful for what I'm doing. And it sounds somewhat silly, but like I'm grateful for what I'm doing. I'm grateful I have my health. I'm going to get up and respect my body and da-da-da today. And that's been something that I've only started doing the last 12 months. And it just gives me this like feeling of like, huh. And it's 2 minutes.
I like that.
And then I have coffee. And then I go.
And then you're mad.
And then I'm...
Mine's different. I go through stages, and it's one thing I lack is probably a routine that's I always stick to. I go through stages. I'm somewhat erratic. I'll be like full in gym mode, healthy eating, crazy. That's what I'm doing, and I'll start preaching it. And then next minute I'm like, nah, off it, not gymming. I'll get up when I want to get up. I mean, I'm not like sleeping in, but it's not like I'm getting up at 7 and going to the gym at 7 and all this stuff. So I kind of just weave in and out. Steph and I have been trying to get up. I mean, we probably do it 2-3 times a week. Get up, walk the dog, get a coffee, come home first thing in the morning, which has been great. No phone, just go for a stroll. Similar to that. It's like just get up and don't get up and dive in your emails and, you know, go crazy on
Yeah.
Yeah,
what I'm gonna do today.
I'm very bad at that.
Yeah, and I
And
mean...
that being said, there's days where you have to do it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of the time... Steph and I get out of bed at the moment different times because sometimes she's up really early, sometimes she has to be somewhere else later. I've got to be up at a flight early, whatever. So it's kind of... I mean, I need to work more, I think, on having something that's more specific. You know, I'm up at 7 every day. I'm doing this.
Yeah. Evening routine. How do you guys decompress at night?
Luke doesn't.
He does not, does he?
He is on his computer 2 or 3 nights a week. I go to bed about 3 hours before him.
Wow.
He's a full night owl.
Like, are we talking 1 a.m., 2
Yeah.
a.m.?
1, 2 a.m., 3 or 4 nights a week working.
Jesus.
For me, I'm obsessed with Netflix, or I always am in a series. So at the moment, it's Drive to Survive. And I'm like,
do you know, I'm deep in Outlander at the moment. Didn't think I'd like it.
yeah.
After a few episodes in, I just can't help myself.
Yeah.
At least 3 episodes a night if I can go.
Oh, no. So I'm a 1 episode, and then I'm trying to get back into stretching every night.
Oh, yeah.
That was a Steph one as well. Just finding 20 minutes to lie on a Pilates roller. Luke's running 2 marathons this year, so he has to do it as well because his body's just tight. What's yours? You play on your phone.
Yeah, so I've been really struggling with sleep lately.
Okay.
So we actually have, I mean, it's kind of, doesn't really make that much sense, but we Steph went out to Instagram and goes, "What's every single movie you have to watch? Have to watch
that's
it.
right, I
Like, give us
remember
all the best ones." So we've got this jar in our like movie room where every night we played a movie. So we've been watching movies like most nights, and that's an hour to 2 hours before bed. No phone, just sit on the couch. But I don't really agree with it because like instead of being on your phone, you're looking at an even bigger phone
Yeah.
before bed. So I don't really.
But you've got your blue light glasses.
I do, and I've been trying everything at the moment, and yeah,
Yeah, it's hard. It's very,
it's
very
hard. I mean,
I
it's in your
read like
head
half
a
an
lot.
hour before bed. That helps
Yeah.
me just like fall asleep. But everyone's different. My partner, she can't do it.
But yeah, that's at the moment. It's movies and trying to be off our phone.
Well, last question for you guys. If you had to recommend a movie, doco, or show, what would it be to the audience?
I should know heaps.
Yeah, you should.
Don't you love that? You put him on the moment and say, what have I been watching the last 2 months?
Do you know what? I would pick 2 movies, and it's because it's the same actress, would be those ones we've been telling you to watch, Molly's Game
yeah.
and Miss Sloane, with
I've watched
Jessica,
one of them.
or whatever her name is. We
Never
love it.
heard of it.
They're great. Both of them are on Netflix, I think. They're long, but she's so intelligent.
It's
in both
like
of
those
them.
movies where it's all like epic storyline that just all comes together at the end. And you're just like,
Miss Sloane in
wow.
particular is phenomenal. Molly's Game equally as good.
I don't think I've seen Molly's Game. I've seen the other one. Yeah.
I'll write this down.
What
What,
would you
about
say?
you?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't had a good little Netflix series binge in ages. The last thing I watched was Money Heist, which I loved.
Oh, yeah.
Binged that hard. Like couldn't stop.
My in-laws are recommending
What I actually
that one.
really enjoyed watching, it's an easy watch, was Designated Survivor.
Oh, yeah.
I liked it. It was good, easy watch. Just
It's very easy to watch.
yeah,
Yeah.
I liked it. I mean, I got stuck in that, and apparently there's a new season coming out. So
Yeah. I feel like there was a break in seasons and I was just like, oh,
yeah, there was.
I found something else now.
Yeah, and I mean, if I'm going to go old school, it's Breaking Bad every day of the week.
Yeah, Breaking Bad's really
Love
good.
that.
Guys, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for
No
having us.
worries.
Where can people find you on the interwebs? Where can they find Soda?
At Soda Shades.
At Soda Shades, sodashades.com.au, and
Text us.
text us.
Yes.
Which you'll find our phone
Texting.
numbers in our bio, and also check out seethroughsoda.com, which is our new blog, which has all our parties, all our content, all our photo shoots,
Interviews.
everything fun
Yeah, I saw that.
is in there, which is really cool. Proud
What's
of
the weirdest thing you've just quickly been texted through?
that. Oh man, there's millions of text messages.
I don't know. Do you know what I
At
find?
the start, we got some weird
got
stuff
some weird
because people
stuff.
are like working out what this is. But now, kind of everyone in there
Kinda
knows
knows.
the drill. So
I think the weirdest, but not weird, probably the most interesting thing is people will try, because it's a form of social media, essentially. People will try and be rude or troll-like or whatever. And then Josh writes back and is like, hey, it's Josh, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, is it actually Josh?
Yeah.
Or Steph will write back, being like, oh, hey, it's Steph, like, how can I help? And
I've never
that
understood
real
that.
nature of it, people go, I
yeah.
can't be an asshole anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not.
There is something really weird about that. I remember speaking to Steph and Laura about it, how people will, Laura was telling me that someone will message her accidentally as if they're messaging a friend,
Yeah.
saying something about her.
Yeah.
And when she replies to it, they get the biggest shock of their life.
Yeah.
But
Laura's the best with killing with kindness too.
She sits there with a smile on her face. Yeah, okay.
look, thanks for coming in. It's been a
All right,
pleasure.
sounds good.
Been lovely.
Cheers. Thank you so much for watching Uncommon and this week's episode. If you like it, smash that like button. If you want to keep up to date with what we're doing, please do subscribe. We would love that. We'd love to build this audience that we're growing here of Uncommoners. If you want to keep up to date with audio, you can search for us on all of your good podcast apps. It's Uncommon or Uncommon Show will typically find us. For social, you want to see behind the scenes this amazing studio that I'm sitting in, just search at uncommon_show. And everything will be there, including our weekly promos. But look, thanks so much for stopping by. Until next time, thanks for watching.